Today is Tuesday, May 5th, and that is Mars Day. And today, Mars is in a square aspect to Jupiter. Mars is the planet of action, will, courage, assertiveness, desire, passion, and conflict, war, aggression, anger, frustration. But it's how we get things done. And it's that machismo, it's that not necessarily masculine, but yang like energy that we assert towards doing things and exerting our third chakra, our solar plexus energy into the world. And that is in a square aspect. Squares create tension, squares create growth. Squares, without them, we wouldn't individuate. Squares are necessary. But it can be friction, it can be a tension, it can be, again, frustration. It's hard to bring these two energies together. So Mars in a square with Jupiter. Jupiter is the principle of expansion. Expansion, hubris, good luck, optimism, excess. And yeah, it amplifies. It amplifies and it makes larger. So it can make, it's associated with philosophy and like the big picture of things and, opening our minds up and expanding our horizons. So Jupiter can be traveling, it can be, any kind of expansion, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, relationally. Coming into contact with Mars is kind of uncomfortably pushing us outside of our comfort zone to do something that maybe pushes us or makes us grow. A lot of growth energy with this one. In terms of also being seen, Mars is a seen energy. It's out there in the world. And Jupiter is a push. It's a push to be out there. So archetypally, that's one of the strongest aspects going on this week. Definitely on Tuesday, Mars Day. And the moon on Tuesday as well is going into a square with Mars. So that will be felt into Wednesday. Moon square Mars. There might be some frustration around this growth. There might be some emotional things to work through. Maybe it's not necessarily barriers, just the emotional context could feel engulfing because everyone else is going through a Mars Jupiter transit too. And so our safety and our container is Mars Jupiter right now. And so if that's not your jam, if you're not like Sag or Aries or Scorpio, even if you are any of those, the moon, the container just might feel filled with that Mars energy. So it's going to be loud. It's going to be pushy. It's going to be assertive. It's going to be irritable. It's going to be stomping its feet around. And you're going to hear it. You're going to see it because Jupiter's going to amplify it. So, yeah, I don't know if you can lean into the impulsivity if it comes up, like saying yes to stuff. Go do stuff. The moon might want to, if it's in Capricorn, pair up with the sun. They'll be trining the sun and Mercury in Taurus. Might feel like relaxing. Might feel like, slowing things down, maybe being conservative with money. But Mars Jupiter kind of wants to go. There can be a tendency to spend too much money. There could be a tendency, to sign up for a bunch of activities. I know I'm here in Belize and I pulled the trigger on a couple excursions that I wasn't planning on doing, but now I am. Can't say no to Mayan ruins. So yeah, as these aspects are throughout this week, I wonder how that's showing up in everyone else's life. Mercury is in a conjunction with the sun. So Mercury in Taurus, it has moved into that conjunction. And on May 6th, it's pretty strong. They'll start to move closer and closer together. Mercury will approach the sun towards the weekend. They'll start to travel together, and then they'll be exact, and we'll have a Kazemi on May 14th. That's in a week, though. But we're already kind of feeling that now on May 6th, May 5th. What does that mean? Mercury is going to get a little reset. It's going to be enlivened. It's going to be needing to communicate. Self-expression is going to be really important. Especially in Taurus, it's like kind of like being at peace, grounding, materializing, actualizing. Maybe something that we picked up in Aries season about ourselves that we're now expressing, and creatively too, and beautifully as well, because Taurus is Venus ruled. Something that we want to materialize, maybe something related to money, maybe something around how we earn money or what we feel like we're worth, and speaking that into existence. It's going to come with some friction though, because Mercury is in a square with Pluto. And so Mercury square Pluto is exact on Tuesday, going into Wednesday. And that can be power dynamics. It can be polarizing speech, polarizing communication with others. It can be a lot of things that just come up around communication that feels like the unconscious is just like boiling to the surface. And yeah, our limits might get tested, and we might feel pretty uncomfortable around certain interactions that we have. That, or we can have some transformative interactions too. There can be yeah, endings and beginnings around certain ways of being. You know, I could see new friendships starting around this time. Taurus being Venus ruled, and Aquarius being associated with friends. Yeah, so you know, some kind of fated karmic kind of connections can be made. Or having a lot of intense conversations with people that end up becoming new friends. So I hope that's some good energy, you know? Yeah. And also maybe people that like are able to talk about the depths. Like people who aren't scared of, you know, going a little deeper into the underbelly of humanity. Now on the flip side, you might be running into people that are just from the underbelly of humanity, and reconciling what that brings up in you, the other. And we're all another to another and surrounded by others, and so we all are reconciling with our differences with the other, not just humans but plants and animals in the world and God. And so talking about those things, thinking about those things, feeling into those things are all kind of what's going on this week. Boundaries can be tested, limits can be tested, logic can be tested, just in terms of feeling kind of not like a Mercury retrograde, but just intense. Just like there's a lot of movement, a lot of action. It's kind of fun, but it's also a little exhausting during Taurus season that likes peace and chill. So yeah, I just like, despite a lot going on, like walking slowly through it all, remembering to breathe, remembering to center in something that grounds you. Grounding practices important right now. Taking time to rest, taking time for a nap can actually energize you for whatever you want to do later. Yeah. So Jupiter can have a tendency to overdo it. So just like, you know, you could say yes to everything. Mars and go, and Aries Mars love to just and needs to just like go, go, go. But Jupiter could be a tendency to like overheat or forget to eat, you know? And so then you can get cranky, irritable, exhausted, or, you know, there could be a propensity for like a giant blow up. So if any of this stuff is happening to you, like these are going to be just this week, these transits, you know? It is a spicy week, it's a punchy week, but it is generally like, um, it's important to make note of where you're at now in your personal development and transformation process, whatever that means for you in your life, and take note of what's been unfolding this week, because Pluto is going retrograde. And Pluto going retrograde on the 5th and 6th of May, it, you know, one way of looking at that is that the trajectory of where we experience transformation might be found now inwardly rather than out here. What that means at times is that we are the ones that now find what we're looking for within ourselves. So at this turning point of Pluto stationing and then turning retrograde, is an invitation for the next several months for some maybe deep transformative inner work, discovering the unconscious within ourselves and some things that have been repressed. Yeah, doing a deep dive into things that are uncomfortable to look at, and that finding gold there. You know, when you turn towards the underworld, it's not just to look at the shadow and it's scary. It's because when you face it, you can help alchemize it by coming into a relationship with it. When the self is in a relationship to unconscious contents in the shadow, that helps transform it and integrate it. And that's what Pluto is all about. It's repressed power. And not just like power to like rule some shit. It's power to be ourselves in the world and to be empowered and embodied in our fullest potential. So Pluto invites us to connect to our bodies, connect to our emotions, and particularly the deep, uncomfortable aspects that we'd rather not look at. If we take Pluto at face value, it can be scary. If we know the journey of Pluto, we know how to navigate. And it is at times through what we might call a hellish experience, but that's kind of the way through. And it is one of the most powerfully transformative principles of the planetary archetypes. Pain, death, hell, repressed contents, the unconscious, uncomfortable things in the body, deep confrontations with polarizing things, having to reconcile with our projections or dealing with other people's projections. Yeah, it's deeply uncomfortable stuff. So when you can name it, you can know. And Pluto Mercury this week can definitely bring that up a lot in our conversations with other people, power dynamics, get polarized a little bit. But just know if that's happening, that actually this is like a doorway that's opening that is meant to lead you through. I mean, sometimes we wouldn't, we kind of have to meet our end. We have to meet our end with something in order to move forward or move beyond or change. Pluto is change. It's evolution. It's these deep powers that understand the process of life and death. And yeah, some of us might be hitting our limits with certain things this week. And I don't know if it's like a fuck it moment or, we just like something pops, but something happens when we go down to the underworld. It's not all for nothing. So don't get stuck down there. Yeah, what else? Let's see. Neptune and Saturn in a conjunction. Our lives are being restructured. Our spirituality is being restructured. What's meaningful to us is being restructured and rebuilt. And I think that these two working together is very important. I think that Saturn probably is gaining more clarity now that it's separating from Neptune. Those will weave back and forth together still. They're not done yet. They're still in a conjunction. Clarity around our compass and our life's journey is emerging, but it's still requiring an element of faith, an element of trust, an element of surrender. And I've been finding personally that when things are falling apart, that a sense of spirituality and a spiritual practice has been absolutely necessary this year to fall back on within myself, to not completely collapse. So I think that that's still in the air with Neptune and Saturn, Neptune being the spiritual imagery that is supportive, and Saturn being the eternal damnation and confusion and depression that seems to be forever, that it's never ending. But it's really it's a long, slow process that, at times in our life with big changes that unfold, it takes a while. It takes a while to restructure. And so while things fall apart, our psyches need some spiritual images to fall back on. So whatever that is for you, spiritual practices, medicines, relationships, deities, prayers, even meditation or animals, whatever it may be, nature. I think that can be really helpful right now. So let's see what else. I have a giant iguana that is staring at me from the bushes right now. That's amazing. Okay, well, stay tuned for more updates. I'm going to try to keep posting daily from Belize, and drop a comment, like, subscribe. I don't care. But also I don't do free readings, but I do readings. And then, yeah, please check out my website. I'm an archetypal astrologer. I have a PhD in Jungian and archetypal studies. I love this shit. I think about it all day. So hit me up. All right, bye.